Let's talk about bridges. We're only going to go over the main three. Fixed bridge or hardtail. This is a fixed bridge because there's no moving parts. All the strings are anchored to the body, they go through the back and then held in place by the ball end of the string. And they're very simple because obviously there's nothing going on, which means they're reliable and they stay in tune pretty well. A Floyd Rose. This is a type of tremolo that includes a floating bridge with a space in the body, which means you can move it up and down, making the strings looser and tighter. These are really good for really aggressive dive bombs and whammy bar tricks because of the massive range and tension and pitch they can give you. The string isn't held in place by the ball end of the string. You can see there's no entrance for it, it's just a back plate. So they are held in place by clamping them between these two hammers. I think they're called hammers, I'm not sure. They are, however, much more complicated, which means it takes a lot more time to set up, to restring, to retune, because they depend on balancing the tension of the string with the tension of the springs in the back plate, which I'm not taking off, but you can see that there are some springs in there. This does also mean that using different tunings is rather difficult. For instance, drop D. If one string decreases in pitch, all of them do, because of balancing the tension of every string with every spring. They can also go out of tune a lot more frequently, but this is helped with locking nuts, which also clamps the string, just this time near the headstock, which helps prevent any slipping of a string when you're tightening and loosening them. A synchronized tremolo. I don't have one of these, so I can't show you, but they're most popular from a Strat. They're very similar to Floyd Roses in the sense that they're both floating trems and both depend on balancing tension in the strings and the springs. However, a synchronized trem is much more simple than a Floyd Rose, so it means it's much easier to restring, retune and set up, and maybe set up other tunings as well. And you will probably need to retune it quite a bit because it doesn't clamp any of the strings. The strings aren't clamped by a locking nut at the headstock and are not clamped at the bridge. The strings are held in place sort of the same way as a hardtail. They go up through the back and are held in place by the ball end of the string, which means it relies on tension balance to stay in tune. They also don't have as much range as a Floyd Rose, which means you can't do insane dive bombs and dime squeals and such, or it'll be very difficult to. But they're used and built for more subtle vibrato, and they are extremely smooth, which is a very good thing. Let me know if I missed out anything in the comments, but I hope I didn't.